Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to look into a single node zookeeper and its client communication. Let's get started. Consider there is a zookeeper server which gets booted up. What happens here is when the zookeeper server gets booted up, it creates data and transaction log directory based on our configuration. Now zookeeper also opens a client port. This particular port will actually be used by the client to communicate. Now let's say there's a client who needs zookeeper. For an example, a Kafka client wants to communicate to zookeeper. The client sends a request to the zookeeper using the client port whichever is open. The zookeeper is going to send a response back to the client saying that the connection is done. And to see a healthy connection between these two, client and server, and maintain a session between these two, there is a heartbeat which will be sent back and forth from zookeeper to the client to check whether the client is available or not. Now after that, once the connection is done and the heartbeat is maintained between the client and the server zookeeper, now a user can come in and utilize this particular service which is acting as a client for zookeeper and get a seamless response. Now this is how a single node zookeeper interacts with the client, and ultimately this particular client provides a service to the user. Now anything which happens between the client and zookeeper is actually considered to be a transaction. For example, when the client sends a request to the zookeeper server to provide a connection, and when zookeeper sends back the response to the client saying that the connection has been established, all these steps are basically considered to be a transaction, and each and every transaction is recorded in a transaction log. Now in the data directory, what exactly happens is it is going to store all the snapshot related information, which means in a zookeeper, as we have already discussed earlier, zookeeper has a zookeeper file system in which you will have different nodes. In nodes, we can store some information. So in case of any failure, any reboot or anything of such kind, so all those informations will actually be stored inside the data directory. Now let us see the transaction logs with Kafka client. Here you can see a series of transactions which are actually being done with the zookeeper server. Now, right from sending a request from the Kafka client, which is basically a create session command, you can see there are multiple operations which has been done from the zookeeper end. And if at all there is an error, or let's say there is some create request which has been sent, every single thing is actually recorded here. Now, if at all the session actually ends because of some reason, or we explicitly end it, even that is being captured here as a close session command. So this is how a typical transaction log looks like with any client. In the next tutorial, we are going to do a little bit of hands-on with the zookeeper node and client communication. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel.